Okay, hi guys, it's physics again. Really quick video, at least I think it'll be a really quick video. First off, I want to talk a little bit about how the test is going to go. I learned a little bit of stuff because I did one with the grade 11s today, so I learned a little bit. First thing is it will be uploaded at our regular class time, which is 11 a.m. I don't know whether you guys have live classes or not, but the good news is that normally after our class would be lunch hour anyway, so you won't have anything. One thing I did learn was to make the due time not just an hour, but quite a bit longer than that to make sure that you guys have time to get things uploaded into Google Classroom. Please upload it into Google Classroom. Don't email it to me. A lot of the grade 11s emailed it to me, but I think it's going to be easier to have it sent to me through Google Classroom. A lot of people said they couldn't do that in Math 11, but I think it's because their time ran out, and so it said they were late. So that's why I'm going to extend that time to give you lots of time to do that. Let me think, what else do I have to say? So yeah, 11 o'clock tomorrow morning, and I'm gonna put like the due time to be like 1 p.m. So that'll give you a good 2 hours to do it and send it to me. So a lot longer than a regular test, but these are not regular classes. This is not regular stuff we're doing, so that's fine. We're just going to do the math portion. I've already said that, but I'm going to say it again. We're just going to do the math portion of section 10.1 and 10.2. The only question I've really gotten is just whether or what types of questions are going to be on it. So I'm going to try and answer that right now. Other than that, no one has said like I can't do this one or that one. So I'm grabbing my textbook. So if we look through in section 10.1, we really talked about resolving things into components. Remember to think about quadrants. If your x works out to be negative, but your y works out to be positive, that's actually going to put it in this quadrant, right? Because x is negative and y would be positive up there. We talked a little bit about direction ones. So if I go 15 kilometers north, however many degrees east, and then I change direction, I go this many east and then south, whatever. Break those up into 3 different components, 3 different vectors. Find your x component of each one, find your y component of each one, add them up, and then you can do Pythagorean theorem to figure out the resultant. Your x squared plus y squared will equal your resultant squared. And the for the angle, again, by adding up, I always do where I have, if this is vector 1, for instance, okay, if this is vector 1, and my x worked out to be -2, my y worked out to be +3, and then my next vector, let's say, was in this quadrant, and again, I'm just making this up. Let's say this worked out to be -4 and this worked out to be -5. So my x is -4 and my y is -5. When I add this up, this works out to be -6. And when I add this up, this works out to be -2, which is going to mean your resultant is in this quadrant. So to figure out if it was displacement or if it was velocity, whatever measurement this was, I would do -6 squared plus -2 squared equals my resultant squared, and I'd figure out my resultant. To figure out the angle, though, because it is a vector, you need a direction with it. In this case, it would be opposite over adjacent, which is always your y over your x. So in this case, it would be -2 over -6. Once I figure out what that angle is, I have to give a direction with it. So let's say that worked out to be 32 degrees. I'm sure it doesn't, but let's say it worked out to be 32 degrees. Because it's in this quadrant, it would be west 32 degrees south, right? It would be west 32 degrees south. So just make sure that you're paying attention to what quadrant it is in so that you can give me a direction. The other type of question we did was when we talked about static equilibrium, and we talked about the fact that the example we talked about in class was if I've got one kid pulling on me in one direction, another kid pulling on me in another direction, and a third kid, and he's pulling on me, with what force and with what direction would he have to pull on me so that I don't move? So again, if you came up with the first kid, you broke that up into components and you got that the first kid was 15 and negative 10 here, and the second kid, so that would be vector 1, and the second kid was pulling on me, and he was pulling on me at negative 20 and plus 12, okay? When I add those up, this works out to be negative 5, and this works out to be positive 2. So vector 3, which is what I'm looking for, remember I said, in what direction will that kid have to pull me so that I don't move? Vector 3 has to work out to make this balance out and equal 0. So vector 3 would have to be a positive 5x and a negative 2y, because that's what would make that 0, and that's what would make that 0. Then you can do, again, Pythagorean theorem to figure out the resultant force. And in terms of figuring out direction, tan theta would be the y over the x. So that's what you would be looking for there. And again, you would be able to tell me north, south, east, west, whatever, based on what quadrant it's in. I think that's everything in section 10.1. Section 10.2, maybe it's not, hold on. No, it's not. It's not. I lied. In my head, 10.2 was something different. The other thing we talked about, and I've already done a couple of examples in YouTube videos. We talked about some of them. And not in YouTube videos, we talked about some of them. And those are things on inclined planes. So again, the math, very similar. The only thing different, the ones I did on the YouTube video had counterweights freely hanging off the end because it was an Atwood machine on an inclined plane, but still the math is pretty much the same. Again, no one has emailed me, Google Hangout, is that a word? Google Hangout me? I don't know how to say that. But no one has contacted me to say, I don't know how to do this. Please go back through your homework, look through your homework, look through your notes, make sure that you do know how to do this. Again, the test is tomorrow. And then section 10.2 was dealing with the Atwood machines. So dealing with, you have mass 1 and a pulley and mass 2. With these, remember, you have to assign a positive and a negative direction. Usually we made that one negative and that one positive because logically speaking, that just made sense. If we're talking about finding the acceleration, we looked at the whole system as one thing. So when you did net force, you had to add both masses together. When we talked about force of tension, that's when you split it up and you just look at one side or the other. Then we put these things on inclined planes. This is when you had an inclined plane, you had a mass here, you had a pulley here, and you had a mass freely hanging here. So this would be M1 and that would be M2. Again, I've done several of these either live with you in an actual classroom or on YouTube, one of the two. I think that's it. So tomorrow at 11 a.m., what I want you to do is I want you to be in Google Hangouts so that I know you're there. If you don't come to Google Hangouts, I have no way of knowing whether or not you've seen the test, whether you're doing the test. I have no way to know. So if you go to Google Hangouts, then your little person shows up and I at least know you're there. So please, please, please go there by 11 a.m. so that I know you're there. I'm going to make the due date, the due time, because it's going to show up as a time. I'm going to make it 2 hours. That is more than enough time to do. It's not going to be that many questions. And then when you send it, please send it through Google Classroom. Don't email it to me. It's not wrong if you email it to me. It's just, it's little things that make my life a little bit easier. That's all. So please, just for me, do it that way. And also daily, just every day. You guys are going and answering the question for attendance. That's wonderful. But also on the lesson itself, even if all I say is work on an assignment today or just watch the video today and ask me any questions, up in the top right-hand corner, there's something where you can actually turn in the lesson and you can attach files if you need to. A lot of times you don't need to. If I don't say do questions, 21 to 27, and all I say is please read your notes over because you have a test tomorrow and that's all the work you have to do. Once you've seen the assignment, please just go and click on it and turn it in to me. Again, it's just to let me know that you're out there somewhere, that you've actually seen it, that you're doing something, that you're keeping up. Again, otherwise I don't know whether I'm talking to no one or whether I'm talking to everyone or whether I'm just talking to some of you. So if you could do that, that would be really, really helpful to me. Just do that every day. Once you open the lesson, just in the upper right corner, just turn in that lesson to me. What it does on my screen is I get a little message that says, Grace has turned in her assignment, Olivia has turned in her assignment. And then I know, okay, you're alive out there somewhere, you're working on stuff somewhere. I just know you're there, that's all, because it's really kind of weird. All I'm looking at is the back of a tablet, okay? So if you could do that, I would really, really appreciate it. So we'll keep going with this strangeness. And if you have any tips, if you have anything you want me to do differently, anything at all, please let me know. I'm doing my best, guys. I'm sure you guys are too. We're figuring this out as we go. Who would know that this was going to happen and we'd have to do this, right? So if you could just do that, and again, if you have anything you want me to be doing differently, you want me, so-and-so was doing it in their classroom like this and I really like it, just let me know. And we'll see if we can't make something happen. Yeah, I think that's it. So quick video today, just an update on what's going on. I should see you in Google Hangouts by 11 a.m. tomorrow morning. See you tomorrow. Bye.